Dunedin band Onanon have been together and playing, making music since 2001, and they've released 2 EPs, 2 albums, one of which is Home Baking. And today, joining me on the show is Don from Onanon. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
Now, Onanon, Home Baking, this is the new album.
Yep.
How many years in the making was this?
Ooh, it was quite a long time. We'd had a lot of songs that we'd been writing but hadn't been able to record for a couple of years. So when we recorded the album, we actually recorded about 14 songs in 2 days. And it was
14 songs in 2 days?
Yep.
Wow,
yep.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we actually did, we did all that was pretty much everything. We did all the vocals and we did a little bit of overdubbing later, but basically got the bulk of the album done in one weekend, which was and it was, it was a great weekend of recording too. It was very blissful, and I think just because we hadn't recorded for so long, we were just ready to explode by the time we got in there. And we're in a really nice old vintage recording studio in Dunedin.
What studio?
It's the Albany Street Studio, and it was an old Radio New Zealand studio built in the 1950s.
Cool.
And it's based on the dimensions of Abbey Road. It's got great acoustics, and even when you shut the door in there, the sound of the door closing sounds really good. Yeah, everything sounds good, especially vocals and stuff. And it's just you feel like you're the Beatles or something, Feel like, we're not worthy to even be in here,
So, the name of the album is Home Baking. It's quite a yummy album, I would say. There's a couple of recipes in here as well.
Yeah, those recipes are actually my mother's recipes.
Are they?
Yep. So they're my mum's recipes for chocolate ruff and
chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
Is there any particular significance to the name? Like, is this to do with the way that you
I guess what
aesthetic or something?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the homemade thing, I guess, because we were very much a DIY kind of act, and also it sounds slightly dodgy, but slightly homely and domestic at the same time. So we like the duality, the juxtaposition of that. And while we were recording the album, a good friend of ours, Cecilia, brought around these amazing pinwheels that she'd made, and we ate those during the recording. I thought, this is so good, we just should call the album Home Baking. So, yeah.
Now, when I was listening to some of the material from Home Baking, I have to say that quite a few of your songs have very strong contrast, and you can go from sparkly pop sort of harmonic kind of areas to full tip noise.
Yeah.
Is that an Onanon trademark, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're quite schizophrenic, I guess, and we like a lot of different types of music,
right.
and we do like that juxtaposition as well. A lot of the subject matter in the lyrics is pretty dark, but if you can juxtapose it with a kind of a happy melody, it sort of seems to make the whole thing into a kind of a positive thing. Like we're not, okay, it's about some dark times or dark things, but we're not like, it's so dark. It's like, oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I hope that makes sense.
You sound like party animals.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. Well, that is the aim of the gigs, is really to make it like a good party, and it seems to work that way, And it's odd that actually the more extreme we go, or the more dark the message is, the more happy people seem to get when we play it at them. It's quite strange. I guess it's like Nirvana or Pixies, probably the same kind of thing. They have, the songs can be very dark, but if you have a happy melody, I don't know, it becomes a joyous thing. It's a release. It's not like, oh God.
Now, down here we've actually got the record of Home Baking,
so
which
this is,
the artwork differs from the CD itself.
So we had a couple of very fine artists actually work on the packaging. This is Glenn Ross, who writes most of the songs for Onanon, plays guitar and does most of the singing. And he's actually a great cartoonist in his own right. He drew out tour posters and he has a thing for flies, skulls, and mutilation. Lovely stuff. Yeah, and this was the artwork on this CD was actually done by a good friend of ours, Carol Petrie, who is during the day is actually a visual effects. Basically runs a visual effects studio out in West Auckland, doing effects for Legend of the Seeker and other such shows. But she's also a very good painter in oils.
Now, both of these are available now to buy from Real Groovy?
Yep, they're in Real Groovy.
Any other retailers in the country?
Actually available on Trade Me.
Cool.
So, so just go on Trade Me, search for Onanon.
Onanon.
Yep. And it's also, if you go to www.monkeykillerrecords.com, you'll be able to find links to the album and stuff there, and other records from Monkey Killer.
Cool. Well, Donald, we're going to check out the Seacliff video in a few seconds' time. Maybe you want to tell us a wee bit about that?
Yeah, well, we recently, basically the main venue in Dunedin right now is a place called Chick's Hotel in Port Chalmers, and it's a really old, historic building. You know, it's old, really old stonework and stuff, and it's got a real vibe, got a real character to it. And you know, we were playing a gig there, and our good friend Chris Tegg came along and shot a music video for the song. And Chris is he's actually a documentary editor during the day, but by night he likes making music videos and things. And so we're driving up and down the road to Port Chalmers, and he was shooting shooting the car, the shots out the window, driving to Port Chalmers. And it's basically like the story of a crazy night out in Port Chalmers. So you wander around, you go past the fish and chip shop, and you look at the junk shops, look at the window, look at all the stuff in the windows, and then you go to the gig. The gig gets a bit more crazy, then you drive home.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's check it out. Donald, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Go and buy the Home Baking album. Is out now in stores, vinyl and CD as well. And right now, something from Onanon. This is Seacliff.